Welcome to the Rotary Times, a public service program presented by the Rotary Club of Falls Church, Virginia. On our programs, we talk with Rotarians and community leaders and discuss Rotary International and how it helps local, national, and world communities. I'm Rotarian Michael McCormack, your host with the Rotary Club of Falls Church, Virginia, along with Rotarian Bob Schreiner, your co-host with the Rotary Club of Warrington, Virginia. Our guest for this program is Rotarian Scott Monett, Executive Director of Quality of Life Plus. Scott, welcome to Rotary Times.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Scott, before we start talking about the Quality of Life Plus program, how about telling us and our viewers a little bit about yourself and your background before you got involved in this program, in the Quality of Life?
Okay. I was very involved in business. I ran a telecom company for about 18 years and decided to sell that company and did so, and my father and I decided to do something together and we started a foundation together, which is the Quality of Life Plus program.
Great.
Well, now, what is the Quality of Life program, Quality of Life Plus program? What is its mission?
Well, its mission is to improve the quality of life for people that were injured in the line of duty while serving the United States. Mm-hmm. And we basically invent things for people that got hurt while serving on the front lines or really serving for any federal agency. And we have a research laboratory in California, and in conjunction with Cal Poly University, that is where the innovations happen. We have students creating these solutions.
Wow. Now, is there a vision for Quality of Life Plus? Do you have a vision that you're going to be following and going through with?
Yeah, we hope to be the leader in innovative technology in this area. We hope to be, in effect, a not-for-profit research organization that helps people with disabilities, especially those that put themselves at risk, but that will actually lead to helping anybody with a particular disability. Mm-hmm. And we hope to really innovate in the areas of medical technologies, assistive technologies, mobility, various items that can improve that quality of life.
Well, who specifically does the Quality of Life Plus serve? I understand you have a slide maybe that talks about that?
Yes, we do. We serve anyone that is either active duty or a veteran of the military services. We also serve people from various agencies to include the Emergency Management Agency and as well as other organizations, frankly any federal employee that got hurt while they were serving the United States. So it can be either a retiree, it can be somebody that's active, and more we're seeing military service members staying in the military, and they need adaptive technologies to help them stay in, which I think is a wonderful development because that's exactly what they want to be doing. And in effect, those are the folks we serve.
Now, Scott, you mentioned that you and your father decided to set up this nonprofit, but why did you pick this particular subject, topic, way to serve the country and serve the people?
Well, my dad was on the engineering advisory board at Cal Poly, and they had a unique challenge. They wanted to figure out how they could get people with different engineering specialties to work together on collaborative projects together, so that you could have an industrial engineer working next to a materials engineer, working next to a mechanical engineer, et cetera, et cetera. And so they needed multidisciplinary engineering projects. And my father said, have we got a deal for you? We will go out and we will seek challenges that you can put collaborative teams, and this has later, by the way, evolved into actually entire university majors as well as any concentration. In other words, we can now, they have 20,000 students at Cal Poly. We can now go get the right specialist, whether it be a technical specialist or a liberal arts specialty or a photographer or whatever we might need for a particular challenge. We can bring in the right team, and they can work in a student team with a faculty advisor to solve these problems together. And that's a really great experience because that's exactly how the world works. You don't operate in a vacuum just getting to pick and focus on your own innovation. You have to work with people with different specialty areas.
Sure.
So there's a big educational component to our mission as well.
And of course, the Cal Poly connection was, of course, your dad had the connections there and everything.
Yes, exactly.
Well, what kind of a laboratory do you have at Cal Poly?
We've got a pretty amazing place. We've got about 2,500 square feet, and I think there may be a slide.
There should be a slide for this also.
And it's about 2,500 square feet, and these are project areas. These are collaborative project work areas. Okay. Now we have access to all of the technical facilities at the university, which include machine shops, fabrication shops, electronic fabrication shops. In effect, we can manufacture one or many of most anything you can imagine. We have computer aided design, of course, which is very big, as well as CNC machines, where you can actually design a part, and that part can be fabricated within a few hours, rather than the old way, which was you did a drawing, you sent it to somebody, they eventually came back with a part. And so it's real-time development, and it's pretty remarkable as to what we're able to do there. So it's a great laboratory.
Okay, I think there was a slide for the lab. Maybe we can get the slide up there now just to take a quick look at that slide before we go on the next couple of slides.
Sure, sure. Well, it's obviously an accessible lab because we have a lot of people coming in with, we have a lot of people coming into the lab that are sharing their experiences and their personal experiences with their particular disability. And that is very helpful because that knowledge transfer of how somebody like a quadriplegic might get into a vehicle from their wheelchair are real world problems, and they need that experience. And so this lab helps them to see that through the eyes of those that we're innovating for.
Scott, can you give us some examples of the projects that have been completed by the Cal Poly students? And I know you've got a couple of slides that show some of the types of things that they're doing in these projects.
Sure. Now, to give you a sense of timing, the projects are developed in about 9 months, okay, from start to finish. So this is a quick reaction scenario. They don't have years and years to develop these things. They have 9 months. And in that 9 months time frame, there were 2 projects last year that were especially amazing. One project was an off-road wheelchair, which I believe is, we have a slide of. And as you can see, that's a very steep grade that sucker's going up. And this wheelchair was built from start to finish, from idea to prototype, in 9 months by a team of 4 mechanical engineering students and advised by other specialties. And they built all the parts. They built this thing from scratch, and it is able to give a level of mobility that is usually very difficult to have, because the challenge was paraplegics and quadriplegics wanted to be able to experience the trails at Yosemite National Park. Well, those trails are rocky and bumpy and difficult to transcend, and if you try to take your standard off-the-shelf wheelchair to these trails, and motorized, for instance, it's going to be a very scary situation because your center of gravity is high and you're not going to feel very stable, and you've got steep grades, and you're going to need somebody next to you. So the idea was develop a chair where you lower that center of gravity, you give a lot more stability, you integrate shock absorbing technology so that it can handle the bumps and make sure that ride is smooth and that you have enough power to make it happen. So these students came up with that, and this was a great success and was very popular at Cal Poly last year.
And they actually built the wheelchair right there at Cal Poly?
They built it all on site.
Neat.
Yes.
You've got another slide that shows another project that's been completed?
Yeah, exactly. This was a prosthetic hand, and many people may have seen the bionic hand that is $100,000 or so, that's hydraulic and quite impressive. But our hand is, we're looking for that innovative device that can be used by people that have amputations and would like a replacement hand, but it can also be controlled by existing muscle. Okay, so for instance, when you twitch your muscle or flex your muscle, you're sending signals to your through your nervous system. Well, what this hand is able to do is you can attach electrodes to any muscle in your body that you're able to flex, and now all of a sudden you could flex your pectoral, and that would actually cause the hand to grasp. Okay, so now all of a sudden a person has an easier way of controlling this grasping motion. Furthermore, this particular hand design mimics the human tendon system, and unlike the more common claw that many people may have seen, you're able to pick up curved objects, which is no easy challenge. This particular hand could pick up an egg, okay? And it could pick up a wine glass and not drop it. So the idea was to try to really mimic the function of the human hand and bring a lot better quality to what's out there. Furthermore, we wanted it to look realistic. And what's really wonderful is this technology that we're using can match skin color to any particular person that needs this hand, so that it looks realistic.
When we look at the slide, we can see it really looks like somebody just cut the hand off at the wrist, and you know, the color just looks like a regular human hand and the texture. Yeah,
realism is very important, and there's a lot of great technology out there. And just to give you a sense of how difficult it is, and these are some of the things that we're addressing, in order to replicate the look of your skin, you have to have 7 layers built from the inside out in order to get the opacity of your skin, because you can see, if light's behind your ear, you can see through it. That's hard to do.
Yeah.
Scott, we're going to take a short break and then come back and talk more about not just the projects that you've completed, but some of the projects that are in the mill that are ongoing. So please stay with us, and we will come back and talk more with Scott Monett, the Executive Director of Quality of Life Plus.
At the gateways to cities and towns across the globe, a familiar gear wheel signals Rotary is here. Living their motto of service above self, more than 1 million Rotarian men and women worldwide support humanitarian work in your community and our world community. Service to youth, to the elderly, to the disabled, and the disadvantaged. In every corner of the globe, Rotary means friendship and helping others.
Welcome back to the Rotary Times. We're talking with Rotarian Scott Monett, the Executive Director of Quality of Life Plus. And we're discussing the Quality of Life Plus programs and some of their projects. Scott, before the break, we showed a couple slides and you talked about a couple of the projects that have been completed, things that have been engineered all the way through and produced by the Cal Poly lab. Do you have some more examples of things that are still in the mill?
Yes, we do. There's some really exciting projects going on this year. One is a portable hoist that is actually not yet. It's mobility. It's for people that have a mobility issue that would like to travel on their own and be on their own and are able to take themselves out of a wheelchair and put themselves into a sport utility vehicle or lower themselves to the ground so they can have a picnic. You know, things that we take for granted when you're not really confined to this wheelchair are very difficult, especially when you're a quadriplegic. So that's one of them. Another project is it's a radar system for the blind, a wearable radar system for the blind that gives tactile feedback for low-hanging tree branches or velvet ropes, things that, again, we take for granted, that are very frustrating for people that are using their canes. So these are the types of projects that we take on. Now, there's a slide that actually shows a really exciting program and project, which is going to be an accessible ropes course. And it is really going to be an exciting thing. We're going to take and design a ropes course to be able to work with people with a broad range and type of disability, that they would go through a couple-day, 2 or 3 day program and start to overcome a lot of things that they thought they might not be able to do, and go through a whole experience, very immersive, that would involve various elements, different challenges, different activities, you know, such as kayaking and other outdoor activities, all combined into an experience. As they graduate from this program, and once they sign off and they've accomplished the various missions of this particular small program, we are going to build a much more immersive 2-week program that they would graduate into, where they would go up north of Santa Cruz and would live at a place that would totally immerse them in how to overcome their particular type of disability. They would be coached by a team of really amazing people. And this experience is really to address the other side of the equation, which isn't so much the technology, how do we solve the technical problem, but also to help them on the coaching side, to coach them to be confident in themselves. Yes, they sustain an injury, but you know what? There are a lot of people that have a similar injury that are out there riding in